You must construct additional pylons. There we go.
The pylons have been constructed.
When we last left off, it turned out that Bella was a pillar man.
Oh, yeah.
Guys, we're within 60 pages of being finished with this.
Holy shit. Set everything on fire. Wait, no, that's not the right response. It's been a long day.
There's just a little bit.
I keep forgetting that arson is not always the answer.
It's the answer sometimes, but you're right, not all the time.
Yeah, like when you want to be left alone on Halloween. You set the porch on fire so children will stop ringing your doorbell. It works every time.
If you want to get a girlfriend, just set the police's yard on fire and have the nice guard lady arrest you.
I believe that's you forcing your masochism on other people.
Wait, how is that?
Because you're trying to have someone handle you roughly and handcuff you.
Well, no, it's just to get the introductions out of the way.
With handcuffing and rough handling.
Well, if you want to focus on that part, that's on you.
I mean, if you're into that. Which...
Yeah, I'm just here to find a nice, loyal, and responsible person of the law.
By setting things on fire.
Yes. You know what they say, all yin and yang, opposites attract and all that.
Well, maybe with that line of reasoning, you could befriend a nice nurse in the psychiatric ward.
Just don't try to date them. That never ends well. Hi, we're on page 203.
Oh yeah, this is about reading.
Yes, we just left off with Edward acting like a little bitch boy over the fact that someone is attracted to him. And his self-esteem is so low that it has created a singularity because the gravity required to drag it under the floor like that.
Who hurt you, Edward?
And then Bella's over here tasty vampire.
Yes, like we said, Bella is in fact a pillar man as well as an owl. It's really weird.
She's a pillar owl.
No.
Bella is Cars.
The owl part makes her easier to eat the vampires because she can open her mouth a lot wider.
I'm just imagining it's kind of like the whole Cars situation in which apparently Cars just decided to experiment that day and turned into a teenage girl.
I mean, if
I am more powerful than you could ever imagine.
I'm going to be a teenage girl.
I mean, it's not the weirdest thing he's done. After all, there was the time he turned his hand into a squirrel.
And used it to...
squirrel.
And used the squirrel to murder people.
Yeah, on top of murdering another squirrel. It was a weird day.
Oh, man.
Look at his hand.
Battle
Tendency a squirrel.
Stands are great and all, but Battle Tendency is still my favorite JoJo so far.
I honestly just want a way to do stands in D&D.
I think there's probably stuff online for DMs.
I found one, but it only allowed for one specific stand instead of actually creating a stand.
Just make D&D Bizarre Adventure.
The DM's Bizarre Adventure.
Yeah.
Oh, dear God, I have no idea what you guys are doing.
I just pictured an anime where it's just a bunch of people sitting at the table, and it's just the DM fighting, not directly, but through their characters and their story, and it's just the DM looking at one of the people just I can't think what they're doing. I can't predict them.
I would actually...
Oh, God, do the what you're going to say next thing, but do it to the DM.
Mm-hmm.
Your next line is
roll for initiative.
Roll for initiative. What?
No. I walk into a dark room. Your next line is do an acrobatics check. Wait.
No, your next line is do an acrobatics check. Do a strength check.
No. Oh, even your next line is are you sure?
Funny
story. You really want to do a power move. You say are you sure to the DM.
Funny story in D&D. I was DMing a game at one point in time, and these people had gone to this graveyard that had appeared with the mist, and they were like going through these different like huts and stuff that had like nothing in them. And there were a couple of places that blood was written on the walls and stuff like that, as you do, you know. So they go into this one room, and there's a treasure chest that I had just left in the middle there. They had been very, very cautious at this point in time until now. And then one guy says, "I kicked the treasure chest open." I stopped for a sec. "Are you sure about that?" I said.
Oh yeah, the moment the DM says, "Are you sure?" you know you fucked up.
And he said, "Yes, I kick it open." See, I tried to warn him. I really did.
Yes, that's why you say, "Are you sure?" But you really want to do a power move, though. Be one of the players and say it to the DM. You walk into a shop and meet the merchant. "Are you sure?"
Are you sure that's the merchant?
DM laughs, and you're correct. It wasn't a merchant. It was a beholder. Roll for initiative.
No, I'm just imagining. You're right. It wasn't the merchant. It was the beholder. He owns the store. What would you like to buy?
But then after he kicked the treasure chest open, he triggered the fire trap that I had set. It wasn't a fireball, but it was close, and he got knocked nearly unconscious. They got some gold from it, but like still.
I can
I'm
just
not gonna
picture
lie.
Ruru kicking a chest open and her head just goes flying like 30 feet away.
I imagine Sazerac would have to catch. He has the best dexterity out of the party, except for I think Ruru might have a higher dex stat.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure.
Probably because
Flies through the air. I have to catch this.
I don't know. Ruru has really low stats, actually.
That's right. Sazerac just has like his charisma and dex are just ridiculously high, which are really good considering his job. Honestly, at some point, if I when I get around to DMing a campaign, I want to have like a situation in which there are like golems embedded into a wall, but you aren't told they're golems. They're just like, oh, there are some statues embedded in the wall. Like I investigate them, and I just start playing the game. I investigate them. Press play.
Oh no!
Like you just
What have I
hear that.
done? What have I unleashed?
Like you just hear that. Just an entire campaign full of nothing but JoJo references.
I mean, yeah, that's a lot.
Would anyone complain?
Probably not, unless they've never heard of JoJo before. In which case,
I mean, I don't know why they would have not heard of JoJo and yet still be playing D&D. After all, one of the seasons has Matt Mercer.
he plays Jotaro.
Yes, I know. Keep the frickin' change. Anyway,
it's one of the reasons why I watched the dub too, because I like some of the voice actors in it.
I stared into her eyes, wide under the thick fringe of lashes, and yearned for sleep. You? Okay, not for oblivion, as I had before. Not to escape boredom. I thought that said bedroom for a bit. But because I wanted to dream. Well, I mean, you could always daydream. Maybe if I could be unconscious, I could dream. I could live for a few hours in a world where she and I could be together. She dreamed of me. I wanted to dream of her.
She stared back at me, her expression full of wonder. I had to look away.
I could not dream of her. She should not dream of me.
Someone moved to mobile.
Yeah.
You haven't asked me the most important question yet, I said, my silent chest colder and harder than before. Sick gains! She had forced me to understand. She had to be forced to understand. At some point, she would realize. She would have to realize what she was doing now. Pulling a bard and fucking the monster. I rolled to seduce the lich. She must be made to see that this all did matter more than any other consideration. Considerations like the fact that I loved her.
Which one is that? She asked, surprised and unaware.
This only made my voice harder. You aren't concerned about my diet?
What, are you like on keto or something? You vegan?
Hey, man.
I really don't like vegans, mostly because of the fact that they always tell you that they're vegan, but like the only thing worse than a vegan is an anti-vegan because they never shut up about vegans. It's weird.
It's a vicious circle.
I'm trying to think of like what a vegan vampire would be like.
I mean, the whole joke with this is just the fact that they don't drink human blood, which is like the whole joke of vegetarian vampire because we aren't drinking human blood, but instead we're drinking animal blood. Well, granted, I'm pretty sure you can actually quite easily buy pig blood from slaughterhouses.
Yeah, there was another thing that was kind of interesting, that there were some vegetarian vampires in this one TV show. I can't remember what it was. It was a few years ago. But it's like they wouldn't actually eat people. They would just go to blood banks and buy some of the human blood. And
like you have ones where they're getting human blood either by like buying it or sneaking into blood banks and stealing it, or sometimes like black market deals in which like just blood bags are sold.
Mm-hmm.
Or sometimes you just knock over a truck that's delivering the blood and steal it. The rogue approach to getting your fix.
Stealth is optional for this mission.
Rocket launcher.
Pulls out a chainsaw.
Guts' sword.
Pong!
You slice the truck in half.
I can't make the clang sound. I wish I could, and I wish I had a soundboard that had that on there. Because despite the horrendous animation, I loved the clang sound effect from the 2000, was it 16 Berserk?
Yeah. Oh, that. She spoke in a quiet tone that I couldn't interpret, mostly because she probably because of the fact that she just said 2 words.
Yes, that. Don't you want to know if I drink blood?
Well, you're a vampire.
I just kind of assumed you did.
You're a vampire, so I kind of guessed you did. I wasn't going to press you on the details because I wasn't really. I figured that'd be kind of rude.
Oh my gosh. I'm just thinking of like Edward. So like Bella's an owl, right? And Edward's just like, I'm a vampire. Bat.
Immediately tries to eat him. Pillar Man theme blares in the background.
No, but not even that. Like, it just cuts to him, like, latching onto the side of a really confused cow, like, while he's sucking its blood.
He just, like, takes one bite into it and then just starts, like, licking the wound.
Yep.
Scrape and lick.
The cow is just mooing in, like, confusion as, like, this human. It's just, like, on them.
Because the whole thing about vampire bat bites is the fact that they're actually painless.
Mm-hmm.
It's
due
to
a
a combination
chemical in their saliva, right?
Yeah, it's a combination of the chemical in their saliva and how sharp their teeth are.
Mm-hmm.
And that it's so sharp that it doesn't actually hurt when it goes through. Kind of like if you've ever accidentally cut yourself with an X-Acto knife.
That can hurt depending on the level of dull the X-Acto knife is. But yes.
That's why I said X-Acto knife, because those things tend to be very sharp.
Mm-hmm. But if you cut deep enough, you will feel it.
All the cow feels is him just clinging to the side.
Yeah, the cow just falls over from all the extra weight.
Onto him. Fool, this is what I wanted. Now all the blood's flowing to this side.
Then he becomes so bloated with blood he can't get up, and they're both just stuck there awkwardly until the sun rises.
The farmer comes out like, the fuck?
He just sees like a pair of legs sticking out from under a cow.
What the hell?
She cringed away from my question. Finally, she was understanding.
Well, Jacob said something about that.
What did Jacob say?
He said that you didn't hunt people. He said you and your family wasn't supposed to be dangerous because you only hunted animals. Mainly off the farm. mainly Farmer Brown's animals.
Now I'm just thinking back to one of the things I decided to have be established unmasked, and that be the fact that some vampires actually have what are referred like vampires or vampiric races. So like not vampires, but they still drink blood. Have what are referred to as drink buddies, which is basically a friend that they have that lets them drink blood from them. Well, I'm a bit hit. Yeah, sure. Just holds out arm.
I could just picture just like people just like have like timers or like date setters or just like, all right, my blood's back enough, you can drink again, you know?
Yeah, like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like that being a thing in there. And honestly, there was a lot of stuff with world building that I like just putting kind of as a joke, but weirdly makes sense.
When you started talking, I thought you were gonna make like vampires or like some kind of monster that leeches off of vampires when they suck blood and just sucks blood from a vampire.
Technically speaking, vampires in that universe can do that. Weirdly enough. However, incubi and succubi cannot feed off of each other.
That sucks.
Yeah, that's one of the things established in that. They're which is why they're technically considered two different races because of the fact that they can't reproduce with each other.
Oh.
Because both of them would just starve to death. So they have to reproduce with other races. Anyway. He said we weren't dangerous? I repeat, he said we weren't dangerous, I repeated cynically.
Not exactly, she clarified. He said you weren't supposed to be dangerous. But the Kilowets still didn't want you on their land, just in case.
I stared.
I stared at the road, my thoughts in a hopeless snarl, my throat aching with the familiarity of fiery thirst.
Of thirsty fire.
The familiarity of thirsty.
This boy has been thirsty this entire time. So, was he right? She asked, as calmly as if she were confirming a weather report. About not hunting people? You ever gonna tell me anything, you dumbass?
The Kilowets have a long memory.
I wouldn't expect so. They don't live as long as you. They kind of live as long as normal, like people, because they're people.
Yes, people. I understand that people are people.
Zane?
Yes?
Your line.
Did you say your line, or?
I said the fiery thirst. That was about
Yep.
it.
She nodded.
Your line again.
Sorry, I have people trying to talk to me. She nodded to herself, thinking hard.
Hard.
I am hard.
TMI. Don't let that make you complacent, though, I said quickly. They're right to keep their distance from us. We are still dangerous.
I don't understand.
Well, you see, due to the latent racism of the writer, our venom acts on them the same way it does as a regular animal, killing them. That's right, the writer implied that Native Americans are less than animals. Less, even more so than most people.
Wait, so the venom doesn't work on the wolf people?
Nope. It basically, one of the things it was established in the last book when Renesmee was born, because the whole thing is it was stated that Renesmee had been playfully biting Jacob. Gross. I could just and the whole thing why that was important is because of the fact that vampire venom is lethal to the Quillouette shapeshifters in the same way that it's lethal to wild animals.
I could think that would only make sense if it only was effective when they were in wolf form. You know what I mean?
Like, yeah, that would make more sense.
Physically an animal.
Or at very least, just have it to where you have a thing that doesn't immediately kill whatever they bite.
Yeah.
With your bloodsuckers. Like, seriously, they're playing on easy mode. More so than most vampires. We need to hide in the darkness so that people won't hunt us down. Well, they're not going to be able to do much because apparently, just like with Tokyo Ghoul, knives do nothing.
I thought you said you didn't want us to bring that anime up.
Well, unless it's insulting the anime.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Because I really just... Oh, God, there's so much I can't stand. From the fact that the main character is a whiny little annoying crap. Anyway.
Well, he goes...
No, I don't want to eat people. I have my humanity. I'm not going to survive. I'm going to have a panic attack even any time the concept of me eating is brought up.
Hey, I'm here to eat your ass.
I started watching that anime, and I got annoyed because any version I found they censored the gore, and it's like...
Oh, you found the original Japanese versions?
Yeah, that was the only ones
for Japanese television.
That was the only ones I could find, and it was like, okay, I'm done. I just can't do this. Same thing with Dead Man Wonderland. I love that manga, but I tried watching the anime, and it was like censored.
Because there was one of the things with Tokyo Ghoul, and usually, if a story is good, you can overlook plot holes. Beauty and the Beast, most people don't give a shit about the plot holes. And then whenever they tried to fix the plot holes in the fucking live-action version, it just made things make less sense.
What were the plot holes in Beauty and the Beast?
There weren't really any. It's just a whole bunch of stuff that nitpicky assholes... Not nitpicky assholes like us, other nitpicky assholes. Online talking about... the kind of people that take their inspiration from stuff like CinemaSins because they think that it's actual criticism and not just a guy making jokes.
Yeah, that's all that's... You don't take CinemaSins seriously, what?
Yeah.
It's supposed to be funny.
It's kind of like... I mean, I'm alright with CinemaSins. I did recently start watching Cinema Wins, which I actually do really enjoy.
That dude's really wholesome.
Yeah, he actually managed to give a legitimately good in-story reason for the Martha thing in Batman v Superman.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, there is the fact that that the writing reason was because, they both have the same name. But if you look at it from in universe, it's less likely that it's because they had the same name, and more likely that it's because Superman was demonstrating that he had someone he cared about that he was wanting to, save.
Mm-hmm.
Also, he did point out the whole thing of, mentioning the Prometheus School of Running isn't always the best idea, for instance, in his video on Megamind, in which them going to the side would have resulted in them getting crushed by a building. Because it was the scene in which, the spaceship thing was, going, careening down the street and knocking over buildings, And, of course, in CinemaSins, the comment was made, looks like these people have gone to the Prometheus School of Running away, and he pointed out, well, if they went down one of these other side streets, the buildings that are being hit would have taken them out.
Mm-hmm.
But he also has pointed out that CinemaSins, some of the things that CinemaSins points out that are actually kind of interesting, like the fact he's made efforts to actually point out, whenever a newspaper article in a movie actually is an article on the subject.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things he says for that is, well, looks like someone's been watching CinemaSins. It's a legitimately wholesome chat, and I love it. And most people would probably see it and they're like, CinemaSins knockoffs or whatever. No, this guy actually puts in goddamn time and effort. It's yeah.
He even has his closing statements kind of thing at the end of his videos too. Yeah, this is why this is good.
It's not even a thing that the movie is legitimately good. It's just that no movie is without good points. No movie has everything done bad. Some movies actually do think every movie has at least something done well.
Mm-hmm.
And that's actually something to kind of look at. Shining spots can be seen in every in every movie, regardless of how bad it is.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway. But then you have people that think that CinemaSins is meant to be taken seriously, and that's how you end up with channels like Mahler, who believes that you need to do a 3-hour quote-unquote review of Star Wars The Force Awakens, in which it's really just watching a movie next to someone who obviously doesn't like it at half speed. Because it's literally just, okay, every single scene, this happens, pause, makes comment, this happens, pause, make comment, this happens, pause, make comment, every single...
Why did you put yourself through this?
I tried to. I couldn't, mostly because he's a twat.
Zane,
Anyway.
Zane, I believe it is your line. Top of page 204.
Yeah.
No, she didn't. How to make her see?
We try, I told her. We're usually very good at what we do. And what we do isn't pretty. We're kind of like Wolverine. No, what we do isn't very pretty. You took that line from Wolverine. No, I didn't.
You can't prove that I did.
What's a Wolverine?
I've actually had people tell me that Wolverines aren't an actual animal, but just the Marvel character.
Oh my god.
Of course, there were also people that before the Narwhal video was ever made didn't realize the Narwhals were real.
Good lord.
Which
Narwhals
is actually
just
kind of
don't
funny.
sound real.
They don't, but they are. It's hilarious.
I mean, they're basically just a beluga with a horn.
And there are some that are double tusked, which is interesting.
Yeah, but what was actually kind of interesting about that is the guy, Weebly, I believe his name is, the guy who made the Narwhal video.
Mm-hmm.
He was approached by this one conservation group because he does care about conservation.
Mm-hmm.
To like work with them, and then one of the people on staff revealed that they didn't think narwhals existed before his video, and he immediately cut ties with them. Like, no, I'm not helping out your conservation group. You guys are idiots.
Yeah, like he probably dodged a red flag there.
Because he also did another version of the Badger one, but more inspired by Flash Gordon. And that one was actually done for charity because of the fact that badgers are gassed in the UK.
Ooh.
Yeah.
They're seen as pests, kind of like moles, right?
Yes. And so they're just killed on sight. And that's not a good thing.
No, it's not.
It's not a good thing for most animals. That's the whole reason why black-footed ferrets aren't common anymore, because people keep slaughtering prairie dogs.
Yeah, it's just...
Like, they aren't doing anything, just don't ride horses in that area. Go around the prairie dog village.
Wait, that's why they're getting shot? Because of
That's
horses?
one of the reasons. Basically, yeah, like if you go over the area that has prairie dog holes in it with a horse, if the horse's hoof gets caught in the hole, it'll break the leg.
It'll break its leg, and you have to put the horse down.
There's a similar situation with wombats in Australia, because wombat burrows can lead to horse injuries, or sometimes there's just dingoes living in them.
Oh gosh. Just the whole dingo comes out, just...
Well, wombats are fucking they're the... A wombat's about the size of, like, your average corgi.
No, I don't mean it like that. It's just like, yeah, you see that over there? That's a wombat hole. There's a wombat problem in there. Oh god, it's a dingo, run!
Okay, yeah, it's probably a wombat. Okay, never mind.
That's what I mean. Like, it's just, I don't picture canine-like animals living in holes. So I'm just picturing a dingo just popping out of a hole, just like, what up?
What up, bitches? I'm here for your babies.
Yep.
Anyway, sometimes we make mistakes. Me, for example, allowing myself to be alone with you. Who knows? You might eat me, Bella. In the distance, Pillarman.
What do you mean? I'd never eat you, Edward. Just like the pillar mean, just like it. Like she like reaches for like the volume, just lower it.
It's diegetic.
It's like Edward thinks he's the one who's the threat here, but it turns out it's Bella who's been hunting him the whole time.
It's a mugging the monster situation, but the mugger is also a monster.
Her scent was still a force in the car. I was growing used to it. I could almost ignore it, but there was no denying that my body still yearned toward her for this wrong reason. My mouth was swimming with venom.
What was the right reason being then?
This is
A
a
cuddle.
mistake? She
Fuck.
asked, and there was a heartbreak in her voice. The sound of it disarmed me. She
The
wanted to
sound
be
of
with
silence.
me. Despite everything, she wanted to be with me.
Hope swelled again and killed me. And I beat it back.
No, I can't be hopeful.
Beat it.
A very dangerous one, I told her truthfully, wishing the truth could really somehow cease to matter.
I mean, you are dangerous, just not for the reasons you think.
Give me a moment. Oh shit! Sorry,
She
Morty.
didn't.
Morty.
Morty.
Oh, Morty.
Morty.
I don't know about this, Rick.
Morty.
She didn't respond for a moment. I heard her breathing change that hitched in strange ways that did not sound like fear.
It was arousal.
She wanted to get Edward inside of her.
Tell me
Mouth.
more, tell me more. She sang suddenly, her voice distorted by anger.
I examined her carefully.
Roll
I pulled
sharp.
out my magnifying glass.
Roll sharp.
Roll insight. Let's see, let me
Didn't
get one of
people
my
used to do that to
D20s.
like detect if a character was evil or not?
With insight or sharp?
Insight.
Insight
I think
can help
technically-
determine a character's intentions. It can't help to determine whether they are actually evil or not.
Unless you just have like the highest fucking modifier.
Even
I
then,
have a +5 modifier on wisdom, and then I also have proficiency in insight. And I
And then
rolled a
roll
nat 20, so it's a 27.
even then, it'd be
What
like,
do I
oh,
know?
oh,
You know
this
their
is
date of birth, their sign,
no, it's
their
this
place
is what
of work, their
this is-
children's name.
that would be more investigation, honestly. But like, it'd be more rolling. If you roll a nat 20 with that and have a really high modifier, it's like this is their exact intentions of what they plan to do here in the next 5 seconds.
He's gonna throw a pie in your face.
Honestly, one of the things occurred to me recently of how, like, just because of the place she grew up on, how hard it would be to poison Renatka. I don't trust foods from any stranger, or even friends for that matter. I live in a place with constant espionage. You never know when someone will poison you, so I must refuse.
And then Ruru, if it's shiny, she'd probably just shove it in her pocket and not eat it.
It's an entire fish. Scales and all. Sparkly.
Why do you have a fish in your pocket?
I'm imagining it's like the whole Hitman 2 thing where if you have the fish as the weapon, like sometimes people will comment on the smell. What is that smell?
She didn't respond. I thought I just said that, didn't I?
She was in pain.
Yeah,
She was in pain. How had I allowed this?
Because you're an idiot.
Yep.
What more do you want to know? I asked, trying to think of a way to keep her from hurting. She did not hurt. She should not hurt. I shouldn't let her be hurt.
Tell me why you hunt animals instead of people, she said, still anguished.
Because
Do you want me to hunt people?
because I shouldn't kill people?
Well, me and a pillar man wouldn't be worried about that.
Why are you
Actually.
so weak, boy?
I examined her carefully.
I don't want to be a monster? I muttered.
But animals aren't enough?
It's blood.
I searched for another comparison, a way that she could understand. I can't be sure, of course, but I compare it to living on tofu and soy milk. We call ourselves vegetarians, our little inside joke. It doesn't completely satiate the hunger, or rather thirst, but it keeps us strong enough to resist most of the time. Rest in peace, my neighbor. My voice got lower. I was ashamed of danger that I had allowed her to be in. Danger I continue to allow. Sometimes it's more difficult than others.
Yeah, that's another thing. It's okay. For one, I'm pretty sure that most vegetarians don't go around living their life unsatisfied because of their diet. Also, now I'm thinking about is like those cases where like you have to take a multivitamin because your diet isn't giving you the proper amount of nutrition.
Mm-hmm.
Edward, sit down. Take your multivitamin.
He's taking like an iron vitamin. He's
Sit down
iron
and
deficient.
sit down and take your calcium.
Calcium. Is it very difficult for you now?
I sighed. Of course she would ask the question I didn't want to answer. Yes, I admitted.
Again, I don't think that's the case for most vegetarians.
I think that's why he was searching for. Like, it wasn't his first original idea to say vegetarian.
True. Yeah. It's the whole thing of people trying to say, "Oh yeah, vegetarian vampire." It's like, well, they're not like vegetarian vampires. They're just vampires who don't drink human blood.
If he was a vegetarian vampire, he'd be drinking tomato juice.
Now I'm just thinking about that line from Moonlight. When you're thirsty, even the tomato juice in the vending machine looks like an all-you-can-drink vampire buffet. Or no, wait, looks like a vampire-friendly option. He was dealing with heat stroke in the time because he was in the fucking desert. I need to get around to like actually rewatching.
I expected her physical response correctly this time. Her breathing had held steady. Her heart kept its even pattern. I expected it, but I did not understand it. How could she not be afraid? Because you're not murdering her right now, idiot.
Yeah, the signals you're putting off are more just the kind that she apparently just has a low insight score. She apparently can't tell whenever someone's in just a generally has a generally unhealthy mindset. You do an insight check. I rolled a nat 1. Wow, and you have a negative modifier too. Well, you don't realize that he shows abusive tendencies and just the fact that he has a horrifically low self-esteem. Okay, it's a metagaming situation. She's being told by the DM the things that she's not picking up on, and just despite them, she's going forward.
I mean, she could be. She could just enjoy the danger and enjoy the adrenaline rush.
You know, I'm pretty sure your kinks should stop where other people begin.
What if my kink is people beginning and ending on each other?
So you want to stab people?
Human centipede.
Oh. Well, if you manage to get a group of consenting adults...
I would not put them through that, because that's nasty.
I just put an ad out in the paper. Hey, I need like 9 people. Scat fetish.
Oh, I'm already getting sick thinking about it. Let's continue reading. Let's change the subject, please.
Mm-hmm.
Something less sickening, like abusive tendencies. Anyway, I believe it's your line.
My line?
No, Zane's line.
No, Zane just read his line.
Did he? Okay. But
Yeah.
you're not hungry now, but you're not hungry now, she declared, pretty sure of herself.
Why do you think that?
Your ass.
Your ass?
Your ass. She said, her tone offhand. I told you I had a theory. I've noticed that people, in particular, are crabbier when they're hungry.
You're always crabby. This beats nothing. That was Carcat's problem. He never had a full meal. Okay, with Hive Swap, there have been an intake in the number of like Homestuck cosplayers recently.
Well, of course, there's new characters to cosplay as.
Well, most of them were as OG Homestuck characters, but there was one person as the non-binary Mustard Blood. I can't remember their name.
I don't remember the non-binary.
They were Synthwave. It was like Severa or something like that.
Oh, the dude with the eye patch?
Yeah.
Oh, alright, yeah. I could see that.
Let's see.
I thought they do it as a purple-blooded clan, dude, you know? Where I think you actually like licking the sweat of his armpit.
Okay. Back in Homestuck's heyday, that kind of thing probably would have happened in public.
Yeah,
It's kind of like how you'd have Terezi cosplayers licking strangers.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a thing.
Sounds like a good way to get yourself punched.
Yeah. That was back before the whole thing of signs needing to be put up saying cosplay does not equal consent.
Yeah.
Granted, there
At
were
least-
a lot of things in the early days of nerd conventions that went horribly wrong. Don't even get me started on the Yowie paddle saga.
The Yowie paddle or panel?
Paddle.
What?
That put someone in the hospital.
Why? What?
Okay, the Yowie paddle was basically this whole... okay. Let me search Yowie paddle, get a picture of it. But Red Bar did a video on it a while back. But basically, it was like these paddles that would have like the word Yowie written. And so the whole thing is that what people would sometimes do is you just like lightly slap another cosplayer on the ass, or lightly tap another cosplayer on the ass with them to do a whole thing of like, oh yeah, they hot, I want to bang them. Granted, that part already is kind of harassment.
That's creepy.
That's
Did they
harassment.
slap somebody's ass so hard they go to the hospital?
Well, okay, here's the thing that happened is that the person was running full tilt and also had it turned sideways.
Oh.
So the edge hit the person like right on the ass and did enough damage to send them to the hospital.
Good lord.
Yeah. There's a reason why why they were banned from conventions. Also because of the fact that you'd have people just like going ham, smacking strangers on the ass with them, which again is harassment and assault.
Mm-hmm.
Did I tell you another idea that I want to do for a cosplay that's just really mean?
Please tell me it doesn't involve harassment or assault.
It involves salt on my end.
Literal salt?
No. So what it would be is that I'd have a slot machine, right?
Okay.
And on the slot machine, instead of like sevens or fruits or whatever, it would be articles of clothing. And what I would do is I'd find all the really skimpy cosplayers, roll the like machine to like, get some clothes out and then hand it to them.
Oh, that's funny.
That'd be the kind of thing where you'd have to like... I feel like you could actually do that where it works, but you'd probably have to like tell the person beforehand.
Yeah.
Like you don't just spring that on someone. Pull my lever!
No, I wouldn't let them touch it. It'd just be me staring at them in disappointment. Then I'd do it myself.
Yeah,
And then
like,
I'd hand them the clothes and walk away.
Yeah, but that'd be the kind of thing where it's like you have to at least let them know that you're going to do a bit.
Yeah. This is just a bit. Don't worry. Just
Don't
like
worry.
just-
I'm not actually judging you, and you're very,
It's
very
just a
skimpy
joke.
outfit.
this is a joke. Don't worry.
Yeah.
It would only be like pants and shirts, though. I'd have like
Yeah,
underwear.
Just have like
I'd have
hip
a sock
tops.
option. Though.
Why are you here barefoot? Because I'm assuming you'd probably have like one pair of pants and one shirt in there for space.
Yeah.
Instead of just several articles of clothing.
And I'd have to like design the machine that way if I could get what I needed out of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the other option is you just have it to where like there's a slot in it, and you just have like both articles of clothing in the slot. You reach in there and you pull one out.
Yeah. But yeah, that would be my other idea. Just roll around with the slot machine and just,
Yeah,
oh
like
my
that
gosh, all those like dudes in shirtless cosplay, just hand them a shirt.
Give him
Yeah.
a hoodie.
It was like, nah, you got to put this on.
Dude.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Is it my line?
I believe it's Tom's.
No, it's your line, Llytic.
No, because I said the crabby thing.
Did you? I thought.
Yeah, he made a Carcat joke, so I know crabs are.
No. Wait, Zane said the crabby thing.
Yeah.
Okay, I chuckled at her description. Crabby. Thirsty's a better description for you, bud. There was an understatement, but she was dead right as usual. You are observant, aren't you? I laughed again.
She smiled a little, the crease returning between her eyes as if she were concentrating on something.
Were you hunting this weekend with Emmett? She asked after my laugh had faded. The casual way she spoke was fascinating as it was frustrating. Could she really accept so much in a stride?
You see, stuff like this is why I prefer unmasked world stories, because then we don't have to deal with this bullshit of just like, here's a thing you didn't know against it. And if people didn't... What?
Nothing.
Yeah, it's one of those things that I'm just really annoyed with the trope of... It's like, unless the characters are likable, it tends to just be annoying of, yeah, you see, this exists.
I really like the way Skin Deep took care of this.
Honestly, I kind of like the way Lucifer did it, in the fact that Lucifer was not keeping it a secret at all, it's just that people didn't believe him. Like, no, I'm literally the devil. Yeah, sure you are. And so like there were people like, because it's California, it's Hollywood, so you like had the one character who thought he was just a method actor. You have his therapist who originally thought it was all just metaphor.
Oh.
And you have the detective he works alongside who also thinks that it's all just some sort of weird roleplay metaphor he's using to deal with his problems.
Ah.
Granted.
In Skin Deep, monsters probably went to hiding originally just because, humans were hunting them all the time.
Yeah.
But then you get to the point in the story and it's just like, well, how come they haven't come out eventually? People are more accepting now. And it's just like, they've been hidden for so long, coming out now would just, cause more problems than it's worth.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why have you been hiding this for so long? What the hell? And the reason's that there's not really any, monsters actively trying to go out and, change societies, because if they just reveal themselves, they have to fight nukes and modern weapons.
Yeah.
And even with magic, that's not something anyone wants to, fuck with.
Yeah.
Magic nukes.
Oh, God.
The whole thing with Unmasked is part of the reason why I have it to where all this stuff gets revealed is because after so long with 24 hour news cycle and constant surveillance everywhere, it's just the whole thing of, yeah, we can't stay hidden anymore.
Oh my gosh, though. Speaking of magic nukes, can I spoil something in Fire Emblem Three Houses? Do y'all care?
I mean, I'm probably not going to get around to playing it,
but our viewers might care, so
cover your ears for
cover your ears, children.
Yeah, for 10 seconds, just count it. Anyways, what I wanted to say is that I think there's magical nukes in that game, but I can't confirm it yet because just at some point. All right, if it's been 10 seconds, close it for another 10 seconds. Because at some point, there's some really huge impregnable fortress and just some giant-ass javelin comes flying out of the sky at the building and just breaking the entire fortress.
That's awesome.
Where's my Dragonator?
Yeah, and everyone else is just what the fuck was that? Nobody knows what it is. They're just I figured this out.
Dragonator. I'm going to have to make that an item now.
I mean, it's basically just a harpoon the size of a goddamn mast. Granted, we probably should at some point try to figure out how to do that whole Monster Hunter system for tabletop.
Yeah.
Because that's not going to go horrifically wrong.
Oh my gosh.
That can only go right.
As in D&D or what?
Yeah.
I would design my character specifically around grappling monsters. Not even grappling them to the ground, but I'd be the guy who's back.
Yeah. Well, it was we were talking, and it's okay, either you have to do a thing where you have to limit the classes towards classes and subclasses towards none of the magical ones, and then you're going to have to homebrew all the other monsters because the only monster that has a sheet that anyone's ever made is Devil Joe, or you're just going to have to create an entire system.
Ew. Yeah.
And so it'd be a whole thing where the classes are actually based on the different weapon types.
Yeah. That makes sense.
You'd also probably only be limited to the human. Unless you wanted to play as a Palico, and I don't know how that would work. Be like a Tabaxi, but small size.
Yeah, small. Make it give it some Tabaxi features, but also Halfling features.
Tabaxi and Halfling features, and then you also have to make cat puns every time you speak.
Meow.
The Meowscular Chef. I love that that's actually his name.
I'm a Meowster hunter.
I'm not exactly sure how you do the Wyvernian race, particularly since they like so varied. Because you have the ones that are weird and short, and then you have the ones that are tall and like have elf ears and straight noses.
That would be
Maybe
interesting.
might be best not to try and deal with those, but anyway, at some point we might do this,
Mm-hmm.
and it'll turn out terrifying. I'm really wondering who's going to have to DM that one.
Probably someone who's experienced with Monster Hunter.
Well, shit.
F.
I mean, I've read a lot of the different things on the monsters.
I've
God
played.
damn, it's going to be me, isn't it?
It might be you. I've played the game a little bit. I don't know a
Like,
whole
I'm
lot
gonna
about
have to create an entirely new route, an entirely new like landmass, and select what monsters are going to be there.
Just make it an island of Devil Joes.
Jurassic Park, except all the dinosaurs are replaced with Devil Joes of varying sizes.
Yep.
And all the pterosaurs and all the birds are replaced with basil geese
Oh no!
or basil geese.
And
Turf war happens.
then an Anjanath shows up for some reason and gets throttled by both the basil geese and the.
Oh no! You
Devil
see,
Joe.
then you start having elder dragons pop up. A Kieran appears and starts shocking you with lightning. Starts calling down lightning from the sky. Oh hey, it's Zora Magdaros. Oh hey, Nergigante. Oh hey, the new Nergigante subspecies. Ruiner Nergigante. We don't have any idea what the graphic looks like, but we do have the symbol.
Yikes.
Yeah.
My line.
No, I don't believe so. Wait, who asked were you hunting this weekend?
I
I
don't. I
Okay, you did, so my line. Okay. Yes, I told her. Then as I was about to leave it at that, I felt the same urge I had at the restaurant. I wanted her to know me. I didn't want to leave. I went on slowly, but it was necessary. It's a bit easier to be around you when I'm not thirsty. You're always thirsty, even more so around her. In both senses.
Why didn't
This
you want?
is an
Why didn't you want to leave?
Because I want to fuck you.
I took a deep breath and then turned to meet her gaze. This kind of honesty was difficult in a very different way.
I'm uncomfortable with this accent.
Why? What's wrong with it?
Because I'm worried it might be slightly racist.
To who?
Oh, I don't know. The only people that are shown to have that kind of accent in movies. You know,
Who?
black people.
That was a black person accent?
It sounded more just like a hick accent given a high pitch.
That was that specifically like African American hick though.
Was it?
Really?
That's more where you see that specific voice used. I think
You
it
know,
might just
race
be the
doesn't have
pitch
to
you
be a
talked
part
in.
of everything, you know?
I think it might just be the pitch you talked in.
Yeah, but race doesn't have to be a part of everything, you know?
Well, no, it doesn't. I'm just worried it might be. This is the situation because I'm pretty sure I've only ever heard that used in like specific situations, and I've never heard a white person in a movie use that one.
I mean, I've heard like in some like cartoons and stuff, there've been hicks who have had kind of a higher pitched voice, and like they sounded more like that. But
Anyway, moving on. Let's see. You make me horny. Anxious. I mean anxious. Suppose that word would suffice. It wasn't strong enough. To be away from you. I wasn't joking when I said you try not to fall. I wasn't joking when I asked you to try not to fall in the ocean, get run over last Thursday. I was distracted all weekend, worrying about you, because I am patronizing to the extreme. So patronizing, you might as well be a warlock and me your patron. That's the level of patronizing I am. After what happened tonight, I'm surprised that you did make it through a whole weekend unscathed. Then I remembered the scrapes on her palms. Well, not totally unscathed, I meant.
what?
Your hands, I reminded her.
Hans.
Oh, Hans.
Johannes.
Nick, mein Leben. Oh,
Does
God.
no power always loses to power?
What?
That was a Game Grumps bit.
Oh, that's right. That like what? What? I think that might have been Danny's reaction to that too.
Yeah, no. Whenever I hear a stereotypical German accent, I always go to that
My
one.
immediate thought is Wolfenstein. Ich mein Leben. Ach, mein Leben. She sighed and grimaced. I fell.
I'd guessed right.
Fuck you.
She fell.
That's what I thought. I said,
Lucky for you, that's what I like.
unable to contain my smile. I suppose, being you, it could have been much worse, and that possibility tormented me the entire time I was away. It was a very long 3 days. I really got on Emmett's nerves. You're getting on all of our nerves, Edward.
I'm just unable to contain my smile. Just Bella, you could contain that smile in a fucking body bag.
Honestly, that didn't belong in the past tense. I was probably still irritating him, and all the rest of my family too, except Alice.
Because Alice wanted to bone Bella too. Weird. I mean, maybe it's just because of the fact that I'm 104 years old, but I really don't understand lesbians. Or bisexuals. Zane?
Yes?
It's
your line.
Hold on. So, that joke you're making about power always loses to power.
Yeah.
There's an animation. They say it at the end.
Yep.
That's where it was.
That's where I actually first saw it.
Okay.
Then I watched the episode that it came from. It was quite good.
That's right, because they just said like this big beefy dude.
Anyways, let's see. 3 days?
Grace.
Right?
Yes.
3 days! I've
Grace.
been in here for 3 days!
I was frozen today.
She asked, her voice suddenly sharp. Didn't you just get back today?
I didn't understand the edginess in her voice. No, we got back Sunday.
Then why weren't any of you in school? She
The
demanded.
sun.
Her irritation confused me. She didn't seem to realize that this question was one that related to mythology again.
The sun.
Well, you asked me if the sun hurt me, and it doesn't, I said. But I can't go out in the sunlight, at least, not where anyone can see.
That distracted her from her mysterious annoyance. Why? Believe me, it's really silly. It's kind of funny. Honestly, if the series had any humor to it, it would actually work. Can you imagine, like, if this was actually supposed to be, like, somewhat comedic, and it's like, yeah, it turns out the vampires don't go in the sun because they sparkle. Like, that being a little tidbit.
Like a better version of Fuck Vampires or whatever it was called?
Oh, yeah, Vampires Suck or Breaking Wind or any of those shitty parodies.
Yeah.
But
just
now,
a better
instead,
version
it's
of
like,
that.
it's just a world in which vampires exist. But it's also, like, if it were written by, like, Neil Gaiman or, like, Terry Pratchett or someone who does, like, comedy.
Game
And
man.
so it's just, or, like, does, like, some comedic tone notes and stuff like that. So it's like, yeah, vampires do exist. No, they can't go in the sunlight. But not because it kills them. It's more just because of the fact that they turn into a disco ball.
Makes
Like,
it kind of
that's just a
hard.
lore tidbit.
Makes it kind of hard to blend into the crowd.
Yeah. I mean, they've started having a resurgence recently because of the fact that body glitter has become a thing. So now they just always say that they're preparing for a rave.
We rave every day, bruh.
Every day. Hand me that ecstasy, man.
Is it my line?
I believe. Wait, no, did you see the... No, it's Zane. No, it's my line.
Who?
Wow, Llytic, really?
That distracted her from her mysterious annoyance. Oh, wait, no, I did say that line. Never mind.
Oh, so it's me. Okay. Wow,
Yes.
me? I'm really doing terrible tonight.
Yes.
I doubted I could come up with the appropriate analogy to explain this one, so I just
You
told
ever
her.
been to a disco?
I'll show you sometime. And then I wondered if this was a promise I would end up breaking. Would I see her again after tonight? Did I love her enough yet to be able to bear leaving her?
Bears.
You might have told me, she said.
I'll show you, Edward. Why are you stripping? That was an odd conclusion, but I knew you were safe.
I didn't know where you were. She came to an abrupt stop and looked at her hands.
What?
Communication is key, Edward. Just looking at her hand, communication is key. I didn't like it, she said slyly, not seeing you. It makes me anxious too. I'm needy.
Are you happy now? I demanded of myself.
You're never happy.
Well, here was my reward for hoping.
I was bewildered, elated, horrified, mostly horrified, to realize that all my wildest imaginings were not so far from the mark. This was why it didn't matter to her that I was a monster. It was exactly the same reason that the rules no longer mattered to me.
Screw the rules, I have money.
Your line's still going.
Why right and wrong are no longer compelling influences. Why all Why all my priorities had shifted one rung down to make room for this girl at the very top.
Yes. Asimov's hierarchy. Not Asimov. Holy shit.
It's like
The
Stromanov,
hierarchy
right?
of needs. I can't remember who it's named after.
I swear it's
Not
like
as
Stromanov
He
or
did
something.
3 laws of robotics.
Yeah, that was the 3 laws of robotics, and I almost said Pavlov.
Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Yeah, sex is at the top. Followed by
Psychological safety, love and belonging, esteem, self-actualization.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one.
Self-actualization is the last one. Once you have all the others taken care of, that's when you start getting in perspective.
Thought it was the other way around. I don't know how pyramid schemes works.
Yes, realizing what you need is a pyramid scheme.